Hi again, I have another 80/20 build video for you. In the video coming up, we're optimizing our SIM LAB GT1 style design featured in a previous video with some custom alterations to demonstrate some different ways to utilize aluminium profile and the thought process we applied to ensure these design decisions were practical and didn't diminish the integrity or the structure and ability to fully use the cockpit. We're using MAY-CAD this time, which is basically another development branch of Frame Designer that we used in the previous build videos. It's like Frame Designer, but MAY-CAD is still getting updates, where Frame Designer hasn't been supported since 2014. Frame Designer still works fine, even on Windows 10 today, but it seemed a good move to start working in MAY-CAD for this video and any future build videos. Check the description for the download links for both MAY-CAD and the project file we're using in today's video. Okay, so here we go. Enjoy the video. So we've got three cockpits here, so I'll talk you through what's going on here. First off, the colours is just there to avoid any kind of clash when we're panning around. So that's just what that's for. At the back, this is our SIM LAB GT1 design. We've shown in a previous video, so you'll see this one before. Over here is the kind of new design concepts I've been working on, and you can see immediately what we got here with the pedal areas very different. We've lost the pillars and we've shortened the profile, so it's kind of floating above now. And the idea with this was I was kind of looking at my platform, my SIM LAB cockpit, and I was kind of looking, I was going, do we need all that below it? We're only carrying pedals after all, right? Do we need all this underneath? Because that's quite a lot of beefy kind of stuff going on here, which may not be needed. So I kind of thought about that, and this is what I came up with. You can see here. I had to take a couple of things into consideration. First off is, yeah, if by removing what's below, the frame below, are we going to have any flex? So by using 40/80 now here instead of 40/40. We're going to completely eliminate any flex. And the other thing is to think about was all this area, all the kind of the frame here and the frame around there for the pedals is adding support to the wheelbase area, and that prevents lateral movement here. Because if we took all that out, we took the pedal base off, that could become quite wobbly. So we'd kind of need all this to support it above it. You see, you can look at it, you can imagine it, you can see how it adds to the support. If we're taking it away, we need to think about how we're going to sort that out. Because one bad thing about is when we're going to get that lateral kind of flex is, particularly for a direct drive wheel, is all that kind of high torque force feedback is going to make this rattle. It'll start moving and make it rattle, and it will absorb some of the force feedback, which is bad news. It's just going to make our direct drive wheel not give us the detail which you know what it can produce. So we're losing something, so that's no good to us. So let's think about that. So if we zoom in here, you can see we're using a bunch of connectors here, and we've got this chunky frame around it using the 40/80. So what we're taking away, we're kind of putting back. So we've got this nice strong kind of a rectangle area here below, which is supporting everything above it. So that's all good news. And the other reason why kind of doing this design here is it's easier to adjust the pedals. The throw, we'll loosen these bolts, top and bottom on either side, and it'll slide in easier. So there's an advantage there of just that adjustment. But secondly, what it does do is if it's not in use, potentially slide all that back into the cockpit area. It kind of always go back, and it reduces the size by quite a bit. So we're saving about 30%. You can see here, look, this is what it looked like. So that's quite a compelling proposition of someone who has a smaller space and wants a kind of rig which they can kind of, I guess, in a way, fold away a little bit, so when it's not in use, it's not getting in the way. This is a kind of practical solution for that. So I thought it was quite interesting. So we're getting all the functionality of our nice kind of Sim Lab one here, but in a smaller package. I thought that's quite interesting. And I thought, okay, if we're doing this kind of optimization of reducing it to see how how much smaller we can get it and just keep the features of the functionality of kind of a nice bigger rig, what can we do? So this is the second design based on it, and yeah, I mean, it might look kind of a bit weird here because you can see there's overhang there, but it'll work. This bit of profile here, so that's 112 centimeters, and I measured my cockpit, and from the back of the seat's there, and the end of the pedals are here. So the end of the pedal base, I'm pressing the pedals around here, so that's just the end of them where it attaches on there, right? And I kind of used this as just a reference point, so I knew that would some of these designs work when I'm adjusting them? Would it actually work in real life? So that would work for me. I'm 5'6". And we can see how I've measured it to this one. You can see it's perfect match. You can see it's all there. But if we look back at this design here, we've got a bunch of slack here. Don't need any of that. I could cut that off. So I did that. I did that here. Let's move this reference point back here. So there's a useful element. And you can see I'll push them all the way back there, the seat rails, just a test to kind of look over how far you could push it back. For someone taller, could you overhang the seat rail posts here, and would it work? And yes, it would. 40/40 is strong enough. If you had a seat on it, you're sitting quite low. You're pushing back on your pedals. No matter what kind of pedals you are, you're not going to be bending these. It just won't happen. So that was kind of more of the extreme measure. If you say you're over 6 foot. Would this design, would this ultra compact kind of platform work? And yes, certainly would. For me, I'd kind of, there'd be kind of around there, and of course I'd just move that along there, like so. But yeah, it just shows you we got quite a lot of customizability here. We just move it to whatever height you are. You can shove it back, and it'll still work. So essentially, we've got all the functionality of this kind of big one, the big old Sim Lab one, in this platform, into this kind of package. And if we look at that, I've done another outline, and this is what you get, at least what's touching the floor, and that's 20% short on that one. That's 30% short of that one. So it's not too far from being half the size on what's kind of on the floor. So that's kind of interesting, the sort of things we can do with this material, how we can adjust it to make it more suitable for our environment. And I had a question a couple of videos back. I had a question on one of the build videos, and it's for a gentleman from Argentina. And for him, even though this material is relatively cheap for us in the US and UK, it's quite expensive for him in Argentina because just wages, etc. And he wanted to know is could you swap out some of the materials? And he wanted to say, oh, could you use 4080 instead of 4120 that's used on these posts here, and could he downgrade that to say 4040? I said, yeah, you could move those down to 4080. That'd be fine. But I said, no, don't do it with 40. Don't do it with those. The base, effectively, it's too integral to the overall structure and the stiffness that you have to go with that. And I can see why he wanted to see if he could save money on that, because 4080 is double the cost of 4040 for the same length. And so that, which means 4120 is more expensive, etc. And you see what I mean. So yeah, if you can use a lower end material and using a meter for say that length, you could effectively half the price of it, and you start scaling it, you could save a lot of money. There's only so many things you can do, which is understandable. But he's never used the material, so he didn't really know, is it something viable? And that's quite interesting, because so it's kind of one of the other kind of things about this video is it just shows you me demonstrating and doing these design concepts here. is I have a decent understanding in this material, the connectors, the strength of that, the strength of the different types of profile at different lengths, so know what you can get away with, which is difficult for anyone who's never kind of even handled the material. It's just stab in the dark, and you don't know until you've done it, so it's hard to tell. So hopefully kind of one of these things is me kind of demonstrating this of understanding the material and kind of building, doing this and cutting it down and kind of expressing that yes, you can do these sort of things, and this design would be absolutely brilliant. It would do exactly the same as this big old Sim Lab one in this nicer, smaller footprint, and you'd feel the same. You sit in it, it'd make no difference. You save money, and you have something which is a lot more compact without any compromises. So that's interesting. I thought, if this video on that alone can help give you ideas based on that and understanding of the material itself, that might be useful if you're trying to design your own. You could obviously use some of these elements and use this design and just buy it and do it yourself like that way. Or you could, if you're doing something from scratch, or you want to kind of adapt, say like the Sim Lab one, you can open this file and just play around with it. And if you are kind of trying to design from scratch, I would kind of advise you'd have something like this open. You have like the Sim Lab one, this original one. It's a very popular design. It's universal. It'll fit everyone. There's no doubt anyone could sit in this. Short or tall, it'll just work. But if you want to do something more suitable for you, particularly if you kind of want to just compress it a little bit, because you don't need just the excess like here and here and all that sort of stuff. You kind of build it on the side of here, and you're always going to have a reference point for something which this would work. You'd be able to use that. If you did something which is too short, you're going to get an idea that there's a reason why the height is this, or the length is here to this distance, and just the general width of it. Because it's difficult to know, when you start kind of drawing stuff in here, there's no real scale, is there? So having this by the side of it gives you a realistic kind of reference point. So hopefully that can just be useful just for that itself, even if none of these kind of designs are any use to you, and a lot of the elements, you probably start with at least the back end. Seats are seats, right? You can't really do much of that. So that's a useful place to start. That you're always going to use something which is going to be very, very similar to this. But yeah, so hopefully this can help you in different ways. What I'm showing you here, and there you go. I've named it. I've named this one the SRC Signature. That's my design. I've called it. Even though I've kind of ripped off that, just changed that. Let's just call it that. Pretend it's all mine, right? Anyway, yeah, I kind of guess I've come to the end of this video. I hope you liked it. If you found it useful, drop a comment. If you have any comments, if you're building your own and you have any kind of queries, if I can impart any information to help you out with any questions, yeah, feel free. I'll be happy to answer if I understand, if I know what, if I can work out your problem. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I've kind of have any more of these videos in my mind. We'll see. Any more build videos. I kind of fancy moving on to something else, really. But yeah, pop a like if you do like it. I do appreciate that. And I'll have another video in the next few days on something else, no doubt. So yeah, happy simming, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.